Hi, I'm going to be chatting about early access feedback and painting some figures for Warhammer 40K. Uh, if that's not really your thing, might want to skip this one. Maybe the next one will be. If it is, then welcome. Um, this is gonna be a little bit slower paced because I'm gonna be a little focused on painting. I've kind of got my attention divided, and I apologize for that. So I I've already recorded a little bit, and I didn't quite like what I was saying. So I've already done the uh, Death Guard Green base coat on two of these guys, um, and I'm gonna be just just painting the base coats right now, and I'll try to remember to say the color as I add other colors. It doesn't really matter, but it's more of a just for curiosity. Um, so so yeah, I'm just gonna start back, and you know I apologize. I wanted to do most of this on screen because I had started them on screen, but these things happen. So I'm gonna kind of get back into it. I I'm gonna do a video about why people play simulation games because I think it's an interesting topic, at least to me. And in the course of kind of looking into reasons that other people do to see how similar it is to why I do, I found out about this little indie game that's a simulator. Because I know about like the big ones like Euro Truck Simulator and like Farming Simulator, The Sims, that kind of thing. But I was curious why a little indie game was so successful, especially just being in early access. I think it had like 25,000 concurrent players on Steam or something, which is it's pretty good for an indie. Uh, you know, so it was you know, it was like $13, so I thought it was worth trying it out for myself and trying to figure out its appeal. And I played it maybe like I don't, I don't know. I played it as much as I could find the time over like the weekend, the past couple of days, and I played it like 5 or 6 hours maybe, and I simultaneously couldn't understand its appeal yet and couldn't seem to put it down either. And I think I started to get it. um Now, you don't have to have had to play it to understand what I'm saying about it. The concept is a bit more universal. So the appeal of it, that game in particular, maybe simulation games in general, is it's very relaxing. Much like much like painting Warhammer figures, right? Just having a fairly mundane task that gets to have a lot of your attention is sort of like a mental break from things that might be stressing you out in your life. Uh, at least that's the appeal of it to me. So I was playing it and just going through the days. I mean, it really is a supermarket simulator. You start with this tiny little bodega size shop, and you just can only sell a couple of items, and you gradually progress where you can use your profits to unlock license to carry more products, and you can pay money to expand your storage, to to expand like your store footprint bigger. I think there's like uh, you you start with a small store, and there's 22 expansions to the store, so you can keep making it bigger and bigger. Um, and I don't know, you can that's pretty much it. You start out checking out all the customers yourself, which is kind of annoying, giving them change from the register and like typing in the total and their credit card all game day. And then at 9 p.m. every night, you can't order new products anymore and customers stop coming in. So you get your last couple out and you can end the day. And that's the whole game. You you buy stock, you sell grocery store products, and you can slowly expand your store, right? And I honestly think that's the reason it's successful, right? Because I've heard this said a lot, and I will absolutely agree with it. That gamers will ruin it, will ruin everything if you let them, right? Myself included. So as I was playing it, I kept thinking to myself, I should really need to refrigerate um, the cold and frozen groceries. I shouldn't just have them like on this rack in this hot stock room, right? Because you have to sell them from the fridge. And I was thinking, some of this stuff should expire, right? And of course, I played for a couple of days, and then I was curious if there was mods for it. Of course there was. So I played through like most of the game first because I like to do that. And then I got a couple of mods to check those out. And I found a mod. Okay, like realistically, you need to order more stock, right? And when you order stock, you pay on this little computer in the store, and then a box instantly spawns right outside of the store. And you bring the box in, and you can, 1 second, you can either unload it onto the shelves or the freezer or wherever it's going, or you can place it in your stock room for later, depending on where. But basically, the boxes sit outside and you bring them in. So, one of the first mods I tried was one that automatically placed the boxes into the stock room for you because it can be a huge mess if you order 10 different things of different box sizes and they're just in this big pile, and there's cars that drive by and they will drive over and push the boxes kind of down the street, and it's just it's it's a little indie game, so it doesn't have the triple A polish, right? It does what it says on the tin. It's not trying to be something else, right? And I liked that about it. And that's kind of well, hang on. Let me finish the mod part and then I'll get into like the next part about it. So, the first mod I got was one that automatically put the boxes into storage for you. It's like, oh, that's so nice. And honestly, before I even modded, I hired NPCs to run the registers and stock for me. So basically, all I needed to do was just maintain the inventory, like just see what we were out of and buy more of it and put it onto the shelves for the stocking NPCs to move it into the actual store for me, right? So that mod took a step away from me. Like I no longer had to pick up the boxes from the curb and put them onto the shelves. They would automatically um, go onto the shelves wherever I had chosen for the stock to be placed, right? And then the next mod I got was one that had statistics because I love statistics. You know, speak to me in numbers, speak to me in a way that makes sense, right? So I got that, and it took every single bit of like mentally remembering out because it told me what I was out of, if it was the correct price, uh, how many I had in stock, how well it was selling, you know, if uh, if the customers liked it, if it was stocked on the shelf. It basically any information that I used to have to get for myself by physically going around the store and looking was now just on a spreadsheet on the computer. And I was like, oh, this is great. You know, uh, I it made everything easier and also took a good bit of what I was even doing in the game away. Both of them did. And then there was another mod that gave you a little, well, there was a mod that let you scan directly from the store shelf to reorder instead of having to remember what you needed to reorder, walk back to where you keep your computer and order from the computer. You could just boop it, boop, boop, you know, which is realistic. That's how inventory is done in actual stores. So I'm not saying that the mod is a bad thing. I'm just saying I will ruin anything for myself if I let myself. So I got that one, and I could just boop to reorder directly from the shelf, and then the box is magically stocked into the stock room, and then I see my little stocking NPCs bring the supply and then put it on the shelf for me. So I just boop to refill it, and I've taken more of the game away from myself, but it made it easier, right? So let me see what other ones I got. Uh, there was one that auto paid the bills. So I didn't need every day there was like a bill kind of based on your electricity consumption and your rent, based on how many modules of the store you would expand it to. Your rent would go up a bit, right? So there was a mod that auto paid bills. So I just, after a certain point of running the store, you're like running at such a profit that you don't really you don't really think about or care about like bills or loans or any of that kind of stuff. So I would forget to pay the bills even though, I had the capital to do so. So yeah, another part of the game I modded right out. Which, you might notice the trends. And then let me check. All right. Installed. Mm, there was a restocking indicator, um, which you could click to prevent the NPCs from restocking something if you didn't want them to for whatever reason. And that was just a quality of life thing. It I liked that one. A weirder one was more of a mod to fix an inherent game problem. So in the base game, you have to have a box to take anything off the shelf, as in you physically can't pick up, even if you only have like one bottle of ketchup, right? You can't take it off the shelf yourself. You have to put it into a box that will fit a bottle of ketchup, and then use the box to carry it, to move it anywhere else, right? And this is something that they are going to change. Um, so, you know, this mod is sort of like a I don't know, an interim way of getting over a game system um in the meantime, right? So what I ended up doing is like I wouldn't always have an empty box. And luckily it doesn't have to be the box uh that the it doesn't have to be the box the original product came in, so that's nice. So what I did is I had a shelf of each size of empty box available, but I would still have to like physically walk to the stock room and get an empty box if I wanted to move stuff around. So this mod made it where you could um like target a shelf and spawn the correct box. So you wouldn't have to like keep boxes around or look for the right one, right? And again, it's kind of a quality of life thing. It seems like it's not that big of a deal, but it is if you do it like 100 times, right? Like, I I can't even tell you how many times I stocked and like restocked these grocery store shelves over like the past several days. I know it sounds like a ridiculous use of my time, but it was relaxing. So I enjoyed it, and I don't know. I never apologize for doing something that brings me joy, right? Or even, not even joy, just stress release, right? Like it's not up to me or anybody else to dictate how I use my time, right? Like, we only get so much. All right. So, what was some of the other mods? There was like a mod that expanded the freezer capacity because it was a little annoying that visually more like chickens or frozen pizzas or whatever could have fit in the freezer than the game decided that you were able to place, right? And that's one of those ones where I can see where they're coming from, but I skipped that one because I understand that the limited inventory is sort of like a management aspect of the game, and I didn't want to mod that out for myself, but I saw it, and it's an option, right? So I did I did use a couple of mods, just to try them out. I feel like I'd already played through the game for the most part before I did it, so and yeah, they really made it run smoother. It was way easier to get my store, um, just trucking along because I had automated so much of it that it was mostly just letting the customers come in and make a profit every day. So the game's in early access, and something that is very difficult for um, most people, honestly, this is not exclusive to video games, this is just a human thing, is not all feedback is good, right? And not everybody has enough of an understanding about anything to really know what they want if they don't have it yet, right? As in you can you can think that you want something like a game feature in this instance and not understand why you not having it will actually added to your enjoyment, and once you get it it kind of takes it away, and you can't really put you can't really go back after you make changes like that, right? Like especially like with like video game players, it's way it's way worse to take something away after you've given it than to have never included it in the beginning. So, one second. So when the game loads, there is this preview of upcoming features. And this is like one of those moments where we can't have nice things, right? Okay. So I'm saying this like, you know, I'm just I I don't know. I'm guilty of this myself. Like I never mean this as like as a judgment. It's more of just an objective statement. So I play different games for different reasons, right? Like sometimes it's just fun to like play a first person shooter, like a really fast paced, just run and gun, or like a horde mode kind of game. You know, like those are really great. They're exhilarating, right? You know, like PvP is a lot of fun. I like doing that too. I like, I like just chilling and doing quests by myself. I like doing big raids with a big group of people. Just I like different gameplay for entirely different reasons, and I get something out of each separately. That being said, the point of simulators, that as far as I've seen, for like a lot of people, is that they're relaxing, right? It's building up slow, gradual process towards a goal. It's doing a boring, monotonous task and giving it your full attention to sort of get to sort almost like a meditative state, right? And a lot of the appeal of them is they are, they're somewhat realistic, but they're this sanitized, cleaned up version of realism where a lot of the worries and the stress just isn't there. And I feel like a lot of people, you know, they're playing a simulator and then instead of just turning it off and playing a different game, they try to make every game into every game. And I think that that is a mistake, right? That it's totally fine to have different games that do different things and trying instead of trying to have this giant catch-all of a game. It's never going to work. No one's going to be happy um, if you change the scope of a game, then you lose the original audience of it, and you are catering to people that didn't like it anyway. And that's kind of how I feel about it. So I was looking at the things that were going to be added to the game list. All right. And I saw, I think that's all the green I need for a while. And I saw, here, let me read it out. Let me get this wiped off a little. Um, this is Wraithbone. I decided I wanted to have their weapons kind of made out of like bone or antlers, like that sort of thing instead of metal. So I want to go for a um a more natural looking color than like the metals and stuff that I would normally use. So I'm gonna do Wraithbone as a base color for the weapons. It's kind of a grayish brown. Okay. Um, so all right. I'm gonna read some of them out. Um, this is their planned updates. And the reason that this is a problem is it's going to fundamentally change the scope of the game And I honestly think it's going to make it less fun for everybody because the developer received feedback from people that were willing to give it. And, typically the people that are enjoying themselves are less likely to actually leave feedback. And that is the struggle with not understanding if feedback is it usable or not, right? Because usually people that are unhappy with a game are more likely to say something about it than people that are happy because that's just humanity. People are more likely to comment when they don't like something than when they do. It's just something about how we're wired as people. I'm gonna paint his uh horns in this base layer too. I should probably go for something a little more beige, but I think this will be fine. No, I should have gone for something more beige, but I want them to be consistent, so I'm gonna stick with this for everybody. All right, so I think part of the game's success is that it was so pared down of a concept. And it's unfortunate because these changes are going to fundamentally change the scope of the game for everybody, whether or not they wanted them. And that's unfortunate. Okay. So it's a simple little game where you're just running a shop, right? And you don't need to worry about things expiring. You don't need to worry about well, actually, let me just read it off. Here's things you are going to need to worry about now, and you previously didn't. All right. Let me just painting his claws really quick. I apologize. All right. There we go. I've kind of gotten the tips of his claws and his teeth. It's hard to see because he's so little. I'm going to I'm going to do like a close up of these as I finish them. But there's not a lot to see when it's just the base coat of paint. So I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do any of this. I just haven't really filmed myself doing much of anything before. Oh, I forgot to prime half of his weapon, so I'm going to put some primer first and be letting that dry, and then I'll get back to him after. So some of the things that they have decided to add into the game, completely by player request, are cleaning. Right now, you're going to need to clean up your store because in reality, stores get messy and you need to clean them up. And that's fine. It's just, and cleaning simulators are popular. There's what is it called? Power wash simulator, where you like clean like cars and like spray off lawn furniture in people's backyards and that sort of thing. It's a very popular game. So, there are people that enjoy cleaning even in video games. Um, One of the simulators that I liked a lot was Farming Simulator because you could keep horses and you needed to and so I had like a little farm where I had some horses and some chickens and just like some little livestock, and I had like a greenhouse where I grew strawberries, like a really small scope. It's like a giant industrial farming game where you can have like big tractor trailers full of stuff if you want to. Just that's the scope that's included. But I liked having just this little smaller farm. I liked they you can have, I think it by default, of course, there's mods for that game too. But by default you could have like 8 horses and you would need it to take them out and exercise them every day. So I had this it has like a good creation like a mod creation toolkit. So I made this farm where I had like an area to oh, what is it called? I think it's called hacking. Like some little forest area where you could run through with the horse, and I had like a little track on an open meadow and stuff, and I would take my character and ride around on her horses every day, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a relaxing way to spend my time. This I'm kind of getting off track, and I apologize. I'll get back to what I was saying. So the weird thing about that game is, the horses was what I was interested in it for. I started with 20. I think it's on like 22 now. I can't be sure. I don't think it matters. I started on the version of it where you could have a female farmer. It was the most recent two you can. It was also the one where they added horses. So I played the past two of them. But something that took me by surprise playing that game is that I got really into the logging, like cutting down trees and gathering them, and using like this truck with this giant like claw machine to pick up the fallen trees and logs and load them into a truck to drive them off and sell them. I don't know why, but I got like I just really kind of enjoyed that too. And there was even some player-made logging maps that had more like difficult terrain to navigate through. That I played those for a while. I have again, I can't put into words why I enjoyed it, but I did. Um, there's just something like there's something about it. So anyway, I let me get back to the supermarket simulator. Mm. So they added cleaning, right? And again, some people like that, but that's adding in problems to a game that you're playing to relax from your problems for, right? And that's something, like in Farming Simulator, when I was caring for the horses, I needed to give them feed, I needed to give them water, but I did not need to clean the shit out of their stalls, right? Like I understand that's a big part of owning a horse, that you're just shoveling horse poop for hours every morning, and you have to like, get a furrier to care for their hooves, and you have to like take them to like a large animal vet, and you have to like, that you have to have a special like trailer to drive them anywhere. Like, they're not, you can't just put them in a carrier like you can with like a cat or a dog. That, there's a lot of unpleasant aspects of caring for a horse that like just wasn't included in the game, right? It wasn't in the scope of what you needed to worry about. You didn't need to mix medicine into their food. You didn't need to have a vet or a farrier visit you. You didn't need to worry about getting saddle sore if you rode one for too long. You didn't need to worry that they could get ill if they didn't have a certain amount of exercise every day. Like there was things that like would have worked for the sake of realism, but weren't necessary for the scope of just enjoying it. Right? That's like feed the horses, give them water, ride them around, sell them at a profit as they become better horses. Like that's the scope of the game. So when you add in the need to clean a store, it might add a layer of realism. It might be enjoyable for some people, but it's adding stress into something you were doing to remove stress. And the big one that they're adding is shoplifters. Like shoplifters, product spoiling, right? So now if the whims of the customer, if they decide they're not going to buy yogurt or like milk or cheese or seafood or something before it expires, then now you're going to have to think more critically about how much of each product you purchase, and it won't be as simple as how much is going to fit on your storeroom shelf. You have to start thinking about how little you can keep at a time so you don't lose money and buying stock that you have to throw out. And that just sounds like it's adding stress into a game that was, fun because it was unrealistic as a simulator. But that's because it only had mundane, enjoyable parts of it, and it didn't have these stressful things added. So they're adding in shoplifters, and alongside that, they have to add in security guards, closed circuit televisions, and anti-theft doors. People don't like that the door was just stuck open, but it made sense for the door to be propped open because customers were walking in and out constantly, and you or the stock NPCs were constantly going in and out of the stockroom doors. So like it made total sense to me that somebody would have just propped it open for the day. But I understand that, the naggingness of it not being realistic bothered people and they wanted the option to close that. And another thing people asked for was that you need to physically walk out into the little city that was kind of included in the game to go and physically buy the items and then bring them back yourself. And as, again, somebody who's played a farming simulator, I did not enjoy driving to the little store to pick up stuff that I needed. Like when I needed the water tanker, I had to like back my tractor onto it and hook it up, right? And then I had to kind of back it into the lake or whatever water source I was using to gather the water. And I had to like kind of drive this tractor like awkwardly up a hill and then drive it around to like the gate to fill up the water trough for the horses and okay, cool, but I mean, realistically, I would just turn on a water spigot and fill it up like with the the water from my house, right? I wouldn't do all of that, but that was something you needed to do in the game, right? That you needed to fill up these big water tankers for your livestock. Um, so I don't know. I didn't find that layer that made it a little bit more realistic, that enjoyable myself. Um, I've gotten distracted from this. Let me try to get back into it. Oh, I didn't. I was starting to paint the skull's rathbone and I want to do them in scar white instead as a base color. So kind of rubbed it off. Um, I don't like that I don't have a choice whether or not they add like spoilage and theft into the game. And I think that sucks because like I don't know. I mean, it's a game I've only played for a couple of days. It's not that big of a deal for me, but it is disappointing that people that liked just having their little store and running it now don't have a choice. There's there's things that could be potentially stressful introduced into a game that was relaxing, and it's unfortunate that it would have taken people who were enjoying the game to say specifically to the developer, "Hey, I like it just the way it is. It's kind of relaxing that I don't have to worry about the produce spoiling. It's relaxing that that all the customers pay, right? Like it's unfortunate that it would have taken people explaining that to counter people that were asking for it to work a different way. So, I think that if people are developing a game, I mean, and it's got to be hard because, for indies, the team was so small that feedback from players is probably, valued a lot higher than it is at like giant companies that have a lot of people, they can talk to about these kind of things. But it's unfortunate that the people that might have been better served just playing a different game that already had some of these elements included, like might have enjoyed more because it feels like people that were asking for that sort of stuff were bored by the game, and it's meant to be boring. It's supposed to be just doing this mundane task to relax. And there's plenty of games that are already exciting, and you can have that excitement in other games. Like, I am grateful that nobody ever asked for them to put, horses or needing to poop into um into Farming Simulator, because I mean they do have pigs needing to poop in that game. You can fill up a slurry, and if you don't know, all right, you can fill up a gulag with slurry, and if you don't know what either of those two words mean, good. But yeah, pig pig fecal matter can be used as a fertilizer on a crop field. It's a natural fertilizer, and you know, I, I don't love I don't love that that was included in the game. You know, like just that's why I just didn't keep pigs. Like I had them a time or two because they're kind of cute, just laying in their little yard. But I didn't want to collect their poop. And I'm not saying that like that. I've played a game called Slime Rancher where that's the whole thing. You collect slimes, and they're called plorts, but they poop out these little crystals, and you sell those for money, and that's how you profit off of having slimes. So like, but yeah, like feeding animals to sell their poop isn't really like compelling gameplay to me. So yeah, I didn't really like that. I don't know if that's a fair example, like saying that that having people shoplift from your tiny little grocery store is the same thing as having to shovel horse poop in a farming game. But I don't know, I feel like they're comparable. The same way with like Fallout 4 had a settlement system that occasionally would have raids by NPCs, but it was usually just a couple at a time. And a couple of turrets like around the perimeter was enough to handle that. I didn't get very far with these again, but this is getting kind of long. So I there was a settlement defense system that was added. I mean, this was like the Creation Club. They were little micro DLCs that were made by people who made mods for the game, but like Bethesda paid them for making these mods, and then they charged for them within the game. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't want to get into paid mods because this is already getting long, but they had a settlement defense one that you could use to have bigger hordes of mobs. Oh, I just painted his fingers instead of his only his fingernails. Gonna have to go back and clean that up. There we go. You don't want bone fingers, do you? All right. Um, where they just made more things attack and you need more defense and that sort of thing. And I understand it, like, that you want to see your preparation in action, right? You go through and you make these fortified defenses and you have like NPCs that are armed and that sort of thing, and you want to see it in action. I can understand the appeal of it, but it's just I feel like if games try to please everybody, if and there's like the scope creep that comes with that, then they stop appealing to anybody, right? There stops being the game that people liked to begin with. And I feel like I've seen that so many times before. And it's unfortunate because I really liked Supermarket Simulator, but I feel like I'm gonna just uninstall it the next time there's an update because it's gonna put stuff in the game I don't want. And I suppose like if I'm not alone, then there's going to be other people that didn't like it either and will make mods to mod it out. But I mean, that's not really the solution, right? Like, I mean, it's a solution, but They are adding like other stuff that I am interested in is the thing, Like I can't just make it where Steam doesn't update it like I had to do with some other games. They're adding produce and like right now you can only sell bags of potatoes for some reason. And I don't know what shelf to put them on because it like everything else is like, these like dry packaged goods or go goes in a fridge or freezer and then there's just a random giant bag of potatoes. So I don't know. I like some of the stuff that they're adding. It's cool that, you know, I I enjoy early access games because it's interesting seeing how they progress. Like every time Satisfactory gets an update, it's usually some really cool ideas that they've come up with. So I always look forward to those. All right, I'm gonna do one more. Yeah, I'm just gonna paint his horns because I just I just do not get very far with these, and I'd really like to start with some bigger figures, but I've got some detail work that I'm gonna need to do on these anyway. So I'm going to okay, this one this one is going to end up being uploaded on Monday, but I was thinking of trying to do like longer ones where I'm working on Warhammer more on the weekends and shorter ones typically during the week. So it's a little bit easier for me to do because in order to film this, I have to uh, I don't know. Right now, I'm not filming in my basement where I would normally keep all of this stuff. I'm upstairs in my office, so I have to completely clean off my desk, my computer desk, and put everything out every time. And it's kind of it's not that big of a deal, but it would be easier if I could just pop on and chat for like a little while about something during the week and didn't need to set everything up to do figure paintings. So that's a reason that I haven't been doing them as much lately. But I'd still like to. Um, but I don't know. I'm still trying to find a good format for everything, and I appreciate everybody who stuck with me through this. I apologize for being inconsistent. But I should should wrap this up for now. I hope you had a good weekend. Take care.